Welcome to the People's Guild with me, Wascal, and my co-host, B Jangles.
We're a couple of Splinterlanders that love exploring all things Praetoria with a wide variety of guests from all across the community and Splinterlands universe.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another wonderful guest. Today we are bringing to you the final piece of the Splinterlands 101 crew. It's our absolute pleasure to welcome this man to the show. The one and only Pousse, which I'll be keen to hear all about this very unique name in our Praetoria space. Giotrix from Splinterlands 101. Welcome, man. Good to have you.
Thank you guys for bringing me on. And I can't wait to have a good chat with you guys and talk about Splinterlands and anything else, even outside of Splinterlands. Yeah, thank you. Thank you again.
Really, man. Yeah, looking forward to it, man. And yeah, we've had some good chats already off air, but I'm keen to get into it today. Could you, before we kind of get into this beautiful world of Praetoria that we all love and know, could you give us a little bit of a background on you, like pre-Splinterlands?
Well, yeah, sure.
You can go as far back as you want to.
Yeah. All right. I'll go from after I finished high school, since during it was whatever. But yeah, so finished school, and then I was like, well, what do I do with myself, right? Thoughts, because they don't prepare you for the outside world. They just prepare you for, well, whatever they mold you or whatever they want you to do, which is usually to send you off to further study and pay a hefty debt, to undertake some further studies. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I had no clue, man. I didn't even know what I want to do. I was just young, dumb, and full of cum at that time. So I really didn't think too much about, my future, my career, or a career. So yeah, I was just hanging out with friends. I was just doing whatever young, dumb people do, just party, enjoy life, take substances every now and again. And then one day in 2016, I heard about Bitcoin through Bob and his housemate. He would have told you this story already about how he got into it. And that's pretty much how I first heard about it. But again, I never paid too much attention because I was like, man, like I'd just rather spend my money on other things. Like, what's this digital currency? But the people who I'd met who had done that, I thought they were amazing. Like what you're using, like these graphics cards at the time to mine this digital currency. So I was listening, but I wasn't really with it, if you get what I mean. Yeah, and a couple years go past, and then Bob's playing. He's on the Steam network, which is now Hive network, and he's on this game called Splinterlands, and he's like, Geo, because I play Yu-Gi-Oh, or played Yu-Gi-Oh and other card games, and he's like, Geo, I think you would like this. I think you would like this card game. I was like, so I had to look at it, and it just seemed so difficult because I didn't know crypto, right? Like exchanges confused me. Getting money into crypto confused me. Just protocols and all that just confused me. It's very confusing. And it's weird because like you'd think crypto as a whole would be for the young ones. You'd think a lot of them would get it on board with it first. But it's a complete opposite, because I believe a lot of the older ones have actually jumped into it mostly before the young ones. Like, I don't know what generation it is, but before my generation, sure, a few millennials and all that, which I am, have gotten onto it, but I reckon very far and few between, a few, only a few. But I believe it's the older ones who picked up on the current world stage, and what's going on and what's to happen. The ones who had a bit of foresight about the about fiat currency. Those are the ones I believe who saw this first and actually had that idea, that light bulb moment as to why this could be important. As to why as to the use cases and all that. And I never got that until later, until I had a bit of foresight myself. But yeah, I was just, it was just like not the time for me. I was on a path of nihilism. I was like, I'll just live for the moment. But then I had my family, I had a little girl, and I thought, I just changed my perspective on things. Sure, you got to live for now, but you also have to look a little bit ahead, right? To like provide and just to be a little bit more resourceful instead of wasteful and just living for today. Yeah. So I got into Splinterlands in 2019 and the late end of 2019. Like Untamed was around, but I wasn't hardcore into it. Again, I was like, this is a cool game. I'll buy a pack every now and again, but it wasn't in the front of my mind. Like it wasn't like, oh, I have to like rush in as it has been, well, now or late 2021 when everyone else got in. I decided to get in there, yeah, during the peak, during that top. But yeah, 2019, I created my account or even created a Hive account in 2018. So I've been around, just haven't been present and active. Yeah, so don't worry. I know I had the opportunity and choices to be, one of the mid-tier early people, just never got in at that time. Yeah, so 2019 comes in. I'm trying this game out. I'm playing in bronze silver. I start to like it. Weirdly enough, I start to enjoy myself. And the next thing you know, I'm selling physical cards. Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, 3DS during the COVID lockdown, yeah? And when things were inflated because everyone was home and they wanted entertainment, So Pokemon games went up. Oh, everything went up in the entertainment space. From like the handheld consoles, I sold that. I put everything on eBay, cards, you name it, like handheld devices, gaming devices, to put into Splinterlands. And then
Nice.
and then superannuation, uh, everyone could tap into it and take some money. So I did that, and I was new to crypto. So I was like trying these. I don't know. It's like this was like learning money that I didn't earn, but it was just there accruing through years of work, right? Like some people call it what would a superannuation fund be for the Americans? Like a I don't know. Does anyone know what I'm trying to say here? It's like money that you work, but they take and put aside for when you retire. So it's money that you'll really hardly ever see in your lifetime. Let's just say, and when you do see it, you're too old anyway. Oh, yeah, you're too old and whatever else. So they allowed everyone during COVID to take a bit of that. So I took all that I could. And yeah, that was the money that I started to learn crypto with. And did I make a lot of mistakes. I tried everything and did everything that could go wrong. Like I tried leverage trading, failed. I tried betting, just like it's like straight up gambling, like using crypto, failed. But I did buy myself a nice laptop, so I got something to show for it. And yeah, so yeah, that I look at that as like my learning, as like a course into learning the crypto space, because you need something to start with, and yeah, I made, like I said, I made a lot of mistakes, and I could have made a lot of better choices, but we all do that, or at least some. I learned the hard way. Yeah, 2019, 2020, 21. I'm picking up Splinterlands and I'm just learning crypto more. I'm talking to greater minds. Yeah, I'm taking good advice. And then you just learn for yourself. Where am I going with this? Splinterlands, yeah. So 2021, 2022, I just go all in. I go all in and I like where I'm at and I'm understanding, the worldview, the world and what's happening at the moment. We all know where it's moving to a digital society, even more so than what it already is. They want to phase out cash, and they will. So I guess if they're going to choose their own form of blockchain for all of us to get on board with, I want a choice to choose my own ecosystems. Yeah. And I think that sums up a lot of what you guys
Yeah.
asked of me.
They're brilliant, man. You kudos to you, bro. You've managed to find yourself in a circle of some very next level minds with Bob and Matt Clark. And you mentioned that you have known Bob for quite some time. Can you tell us a little bit? How did you guys come into contact? It's not often that I'm not calling Bob old, but you guys are definitely separated by a fairly significant generational gap there. How did you guys meet? And like what was the initial context of your friendship?
Yeah. So yeah, the friendship we have, it looks really odd from looking outside for many people who first meet us or see us. They think like he's my father, and we often play along. We do. But what? Yeah, I met him years ago, just like when I was like 20. I met him through a friend who I played Black Ops, the original Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops with. Yeah, so I met him on Steam, and I was in some clan, and yeah, he was like, I don't know, I was like, I was getting into like the whole, I don't know, I just wanted to find myself at the time, right? Like I was just young, yeah, and I just always, I guess I had a very inquisitive, curious mind. Like, just things didn't feel right. Like I was just like, is it really about just what I'm told? Like, the normality for someone, the path for someone to follow. It just something didn't feel right. And then I just literally stayed, like after high school, I just stayed in my room for a long time. I was just playing games, so it just felt like all too overwhelming for me, just like the reality of it all. So I was just playing games, and he put me through onto Bob. Yeah, he's like, because the conversations I had with this guy, he's like, you know what, you would like Bob, my friends, you would get along with someone who I know. I was like, who is he? And then I find out he's in Melbourne, and then yeah, we meet up, we just have a coffee and we have a talk, and we find out that our minds very aligned. Like Bob has a young mind. I don't feel like he's held back by his age. He doesn't really factor that in as something that's as like a roadblock, and that's really special because most people, they grow old and then they just get dull and boring and they're just waiting to die. you know it's like they think their life's over, but not Bob. So yeah, so I found out, it's just like he was just had young energy, even if he's in an older man's body, right? So we get along, we just find out, yeah, we just like have a deeper connection, just like on some different level, yeah. And then we had a lot of like just like trippy experiences, like things that just synchronized together. And that's when I knew like Bob was just like, it just felt deeper than just like, he's, I mean, it would have to be deeper if I'm still friends with him, right? And I still cherish his friendship. So yeah, like, yeah, man, like he's the one. He's the one. And
And
it's like
just for context, like for people who don't know, like Bob is one of your co-hosts for Splinterlands 101, right?
he is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He is. He's the one who puts the show together, who edits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just a really, really good guy. Yeah, really good. And we just connected off the bat, and yeah, the rest is history. It's hard to find someone you really trust, right? Outside of your family. And I felt like I found that.
Oh,
Nice, man.
he is your family. It's Papa Bob, bro.
That's right. That's right.
I can't
He
believe
is.
that's so funny that you guys play along with that. And yeah, I would
Yeah.
love to be a fly on the wall, like knowing you guys virtually and seeing you guys interact with the podcast and that sort of stuff. And for somebody to make that assumption that he's your papa.
I s- yeah, everyone's like, is that your son? Yeah, no kidding, guys. Like, again, because people never suspect that someone young can be friends, good friends with someone old. It's just like,
Mm.
I don't know. There's just like this stigma. Not really a stigma because some people get it, but yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Well,
It doesn't
well,
usually
if you
happen.
if you kind of like, if you kind of um, follow certain people and like you trust what they say, like I'm talking about the people I've listened to on YouTube, you know, people like Earl Nightingale and Jim Rome, but they've always had mentors, right? I'm not saying Bob is your mentor, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying the successful people generally have had older people to look up to. That could be a parent, but sometimes people are not fortunate enough to have parents that, through no mistake of their own, but have been able to guide them in certain direction. But generally, those people that I have been following have had mentors, and they are like a generation older.
yeah, yeah. You're right because that brings me back. Even as a child, I always enjoyed hanging out with the older boys.
Mm.
Seriously, like I'd go on adventures with him, like to the quarry, while they're like, while I'm on like the pegs of this like push bike. Yeah, and they were teenagers at the time. Yeah, and they were just mates, in like this court that I lived in, like just rows, and we always used to hang out. And oh man, I just always found it more exciting, more interesting, hanging out with people older than myself. That I just felt, people in my same age group. I don't know. I just felt it was like a bit more boring.
Mm.
There wasn't much for my mind to really grasp. Or maybe I was like a bit older beyond my years, when I was younger, always inquisitive, always curious, always have thoughts that could only be answered or shown or provided by someone older.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, can you kind of connect the dots? I think Bob kind of shed some light on this for us. We had Bob on, gosh, I guess a couple of months ago now, and he started to kind of pull back the curtains on how Matt Clark came into the equation for you guys, and I think it was through Hive Australia, right? If you wouldn't mind kind of sharing how did Matt Clark come into the picture for you guys, and eventually what Splinterlands 101, the podcast. I think you guys just passed a year and a couple of months running at this point. What brought about the podcast?
Bob wanted to learn about Splinterlands and he wanted to make a show because like I said, he was always content creating, whether it was from other topics and all that, other people he was making videos with back in the day. And yeah, so he's always been an avid Hive free speak user. So and yeah, he really enjoyed it. So he was like, "Oh, I want to do something in Splinterlands. I want to learn more, for beginners." That's how it began, like a walkthrough, like Splinterlands 101. It's in the name, and so I believe the first person he got on was Matt Clark because he had known him to be that Splinterlands guru from the early days, from the inception of Steam Monsters. So he decided to get him on and and just pick his mind. And yeah, and that was literally the start of Splinterlands 101. And then I came much later because I was just watching these. I was like, this is kind of interesting. Like, because I was just getting involved as well. Like, I haven't been into space for that long. Sure, I created a Hive account because of Bob years ago, but it didn't mean like I was an avid user. And yeah, so hearing that, it kind of inspired me. Like, this guy knows what he's talking about. He, he's just insightful. And yeah, And I believe that was the start of Splinterlands 101. Then he got other guests like Holozor, another Aussie from South Australia, where Matt Clark is from. And man, I love his demeanor. He's just like very chill, like very calm, and he's just so insightful. Again, just a cool guy. And yeah, so I got involved through that way, and that's how the show started. It started from just like a part series, and it was gonna end, and then it just sort of the cards just played out in a way, whereas it just kept going, and it sort of hasn't stopped.
What's been the positives for you since you've started doing the podcast personally?
It's given me some structure, like something to look forward to outside, just one extra thing to look forward to in my everyday life, and meeting people, amazing people. Where after the show, you're like, I really like these guys. It's like a bromance. It's like, it just soothes the soul, Yeah, and that's why I'm around. Like outside of it, like I would have never done this. Like I don't consider myself like a great podcaster. Like usually I'm very scatterbrained, scatterminded. But hey, I don't care. I just enjoy it.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, and something that we continue to kind of circle back to, and it's really the bread and butter of the People's Guild podcast is the community and getting to know the people. And I can't tell you how many, I think just about every guest, Kieran and I, Weskel and I are, chatting post recording, and it's like, man, I would love to get a beer with this person. I would love to sit down and just hang out with these people. And this community, this platform has served such a great service to bring together so many like-minded folk from all across the world that, otherwise we would probably, it's a small world, but the chances of meeting these folks outside of the context of Hive and Splinterlands, it's probably slim to none. So yeah, that comment really resonates with me, and I couldn't agree more. That the community is something that really drives us to continue making these episodes, and just getting folks like yourself on to, shoot the breeze for a little while and get to know you a little bit better, and your story and the story of the podcast and all that stuff. So yeah, your comment's not lost on me, man. I appreciate that.
Well, that's it. Yeah, like we come into this game, and at first we look at it as just a game, but really there's real people. There's people behind there with lives of all sorts, of all varieties. And yeah, and just a lot of like-minded folk who have not the same stories, but like just stories nonetheless. And it's like all inspiring, it's just cool to hear, man. Like how so many from so many parts of the world sort of have this drive towards this game. And it's like we're all brought here by something of like there's something that we all saw or all see, and it's all common to us to be here. And yeah, and when you get into it deeper, like you said, the personalities come out, and then yeah, it's so much more complex than just what you see. And I don't see that with many, or maybe I don't look at it heaps of games or many games outside of this. But yeah, like it just I don't know, it's something different. There's just something different about Splinterlands and blockchain, like the crypto people, like that side of minds. It's just way more intuitive than just I don't know what it is. I don't know. It just seems like they're onto something more than just most Web 2 gamers. That's my opinion.
Yeah. No, I'm like Ben. When you say about finishing the podcast, that's one of my happiest times of the week, because I don't know, like I've got to go to work straight afterwards, but I'm still kind of like buzzing from the conversation. Like, oh my God, like for example, like we've just finished speaking to Aggie. It's like I've just been speaking to Aggie, and like, but not just like buzzing because of that, but just what he said, or like, for example, you, or just it's like everyone, honestly, like everyone we speak to, it's just like once you finish that conversation, it's really hard to kind of put it into words, and I'm trying to do it the best I can. But
Yeah.
I think maybe it's just that, just the connection, yet like you said, with like-minded people. But I think there's definitely some connection that happens. But yeah, it is really beautiful, and yeah, one of the fantastic things about doing this podcast. I also kind of saw you, you and Bulba did something called Inversion, and and I was looking at them, and it was really funny, man. It's really interesting because, like, I know what, like, on the description, I'll read it out. It says, we'll be discussing all sorts from philosophy, conspiracies, free thinking, anarchy, crypto, and all that kind of stuff that gets banned on ShitTube. Like, how did that go on? Like, how did that was prior to Splinterlands 101, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because again, Bob does content creation just in general. Excuse my mind, I've just excuse my throat. Sometimes it gets a bit raspy because I just come off being sick.
Oh, yeah,
My
no problem.
daughter, just being young, she's a bit grotty, and I sort of catch some colds and all
Yeah.
that. So here I am, like sniffing and snorting and needing to cough. It's real disgusting, actually. Like you wake up with like this weird ass dry phlegm that's just a weird color, and you're like, where did this come from?
No, man, I actually didn't notice that much.
Okay, good. As long as I sound, I don't know, okay and
Yeah, man.
audible. Yeah. So Bob's like, come on, just come on, talk to some like these folk, because I didn't want to do it. Like I'm pretty shy, yeah. Like I don't want to get on. Like I have nothing to add to this. He's like, yeah, you do. Yeah. It's like we have conversations all the time. Of course you're ready. So yeah, he got me on for a few. Well, I chose to go on a few episodes, and yeah, just talk to again really cool people about just other things like all sorts of stuff. Yeah, like I know we're not here to talk about conspiracies, but it was that. It's the inversion, the 180 flip of what we're shown and what we're told. And when you flip that, well, to me, usually that's the right thing. Like the minority, like the 180 flip, like look over here, but when you flip that, it's like, oh, okay, they're onto something. No wonder this is being praised and this is being silenced. You know, I sort of look at it like that. Like this reality is very 180. Like media wants you to focus on this, but I don't know. I think it's the opposite. I'm a
So
contrarian.
since depends if we want to go down that kind of like rabbit hole, but I do have to say, since Bob came on, I have been digging down in the old Tartarian rabbit hole, and that is
I love
I was
that.
saying to Ben the other day, I'm a little bit confused because the history that I know has just been, like you say, turned on its head, and and it's kind of hard. I'm not dismissing what I'm hearing about Tartaria,
Yeah,
but in some ways it's hard to kind of
it is.
say, like, and when you kind of do read like the history of a certain building, you think, yeah, actually it is a bit weird, and then you kind of read the history of another building, it's like, hang on, what, this was built in 12 months? It's like, no, it's like, come on. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we want to go down the old Tartarian rabbit hole, but
I do want to go down that way. I do. I want to go down it because, like, yeah, supposed,
Inversion engaged. Inversion
yeah,
engaged.
a supposed primitive people, like with less knowledge, building these beautiful buildings, architecture, the size much bigger than what we build today outside of skyscrapers, which is still small, but it's just upwards, right? We build high. And it's like these people didn't need this. They didn't need these buildings. And you see these buildings in a lot of pictures and they're still on dirt. Like there's dirt roads, and there's these magnificent cathedrals, like so intricately built, just beautiful beyond comprehension, you know? And it's like I look at it in the sense like, no, these people didn't need this. So to me, it's like I'm inclined that they were inherited, like they were there before the again, you can, sure, it's conspiracy or what theories, but yeah, I believe they were there a long time ago, and something happened, I don't know, some flood, something, and yeah, either wiped out a lot of people, and then we were reintroduced, and people find things, and then they establish it as a founding. And the buildings, well, when you look into it, man, like they use a lot of certain stones and minerals that could harness energy. I believe they were power sources, like a computer chip, like a CPU circuitry of sorts. And yeah, I just think truth is stranger than fiction.
Mm.
Yep,
It's
and yeah, and people lie to people all the time. You know,
yeah.
if I was in a
Um,
club of
yeah, but
boys,
I think I'm just kind of just that's what I'm at the point. Like, what is the reality that we know? Like I've grown up loving the Romans and hearing
yeah,
about these gladiator fights in the Colosseum. Like, is that not true? Or like you hear stories of okay, like Columbus, the first one to find America. I know like the Vikings were there before, but I don't know. Like I'm just
mm,
a little bit confused. I was looking at an amazing video of this guy looking at Bologna back in like the 1200s. On those towers, there were like 180 towers and like massive towers. But yeah, anyway, I could definitely talk about this all day. Ben?
you know what? No, you're right. Like I don't claim. I don't think anyone's claiming to know all the truth. That's impossible. I wasn't there. Not many were there. But I know one thing. I can't trust the mainstream narrative.
Mm.
That's it. You
Yeah,
can't, you can only take half truths, at least.
yeah, completely agree. I think I've taken a little bit of a dive down the Tartaria rabbit hole as well, and I think my main takeaway is just you just don't know, right? And it's so important to ask yourself the question of what is the truth, just to have that open perspective towards. I think Bob dropped the philosophy or the quote that the victors write the history, and that's 100% true.
Yeah. Yeah.
They tell you the history that paints the victor in the most positive light possible, and that alone brings all sorts of questions to the surface. Yeah,
Biases and everything. Yeah, of course. Because the people opposing you aren't there to tell their side, or silenced in every way possible and discredited if they do. Yeah,
yeah.
so I don't know. I'm just a contrarian, to be honest. Most of the time I just go with the opposite, and that seems to do well in crypto because you never follow the crowd into a pump, right? You want to get there before the crowd. That's very
Unless you
important.
jump straight in at your very beginning, but that's my story. But yeah, no, like my
Yeah,
point is just that, like for example, speaking to Bob and like speaking to people like you and just whoever, like it. This is like what conversation should be, right? Like whether or not you kind of believe in something, but I think just to have your eyes open and just look at it yourself and then just make your own decisions. I think that's kind of the point I am now. But yeah, like going back to what you mentioned before, like I know you're into like Call of Duty, right? And
I was.
yeah, you was. And like I've got a really good friend back home and I've been trying to get him into crypto since I've been into crypto. No, he's into crypto. He's just not into blockchain gaming. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like it doesn't matter like what I do, it's really hard to kind of get him. Well, okay, it's been impossible up to now to get him on the Splinterlands tip. But for me, like I try to explain to him, we whatever we buy, we keep. Whatever you buy, you don't keep it. But like for him, it's just like I don't know. Like he's in this like is it a gang or whatever you guys call
Clan.
it, clan. So yeah, maybe like that's the what he's kind of stuck in. But like for you personally, what was it? What was the appeal for Call of Duty for you to keep you in there?
I think FPS shooters is like it plays into someone with a hyperactive mind, with a ADHD riddled mind, right? Like it keeps you going and wanting more, wanting more, wanting more, wanting more. It's addictive, yeah. That's what entertainment is. It's literally endorphins and drugs in your mind just activating, and you need more of it. Like, yeah. So they say like crypto's all gambling, but it's mate, you're gambling with your with your chemicals in your brain, bro. Like you're just fucking like it's that next kill. Like I want to be the best. How do I, just trying to get better and improve. Just sneak peeking, like I don't know, quick scope and whatever it is. That's what I used to love about um the good feeling of just getting on a roll, getting into this flow state and just like bang, 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 just like sick. And then like you feel like you're Neo, but yeah, it's great.
Have
Yeah.
you have you dropped Web 2 entirely? Are you purely Splinterlands, or do you still have an Xbox, PlayStation lying around that you'll pick up the sticks every now and again?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I only play. Oh man, I don't really have a lot of time to play games these days. Just because my daughter's so young and always wants attention. And so I can never play and be stuck into one thing for too long. And I'm the sort of person I can't just, I don't know, maybe it's bad discipline, but I can't just like play an hour on and off, let's say, here and there. When I get stuck into something, I just want uninterrupted gameplay. Like I will spend dawn, like dusk to dawn sort of thing. I have an Xbox in that cupboard not being used. I just want to sell it, to be honest, and put it into crypto. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I do have a Steam account. I have a lot of Web2 games on there. I have a Windows machine here. Yeah, that I could game on. I still have Battlefield 4 installed. I play a game I haven't played him in a month or two. But it's still fun. It's still fun. Like I go back to it and it's like, oh yeah, this is good, but it's hard. It's hard to see the incentive because there's a game here that kind of rewards you in a real sense. Or I don't know. I don't know. I just think I think like it really gives you that thought that time is sort of money, right?
Mm,
Time should be
yeah.
worth something.
So
Yeah.
was it when you left your clan? Was it kind of had you been with that clan for quite a while? Was it easy to jump ship, or was it like a gradual thing from Call of Duty?
Yeah, well, the people grow apart. Like people have lives, and then years go by, and yeah, now I only talk to one person, rarely, like every 6 months, just to see how he's going. Um, yeah, that's it. It was a gradual thing. It was a gradual thing, and yeah, very gradual.
Mm. Yeah, I was listening to I think it was After Sound's Splinterlands TV stream, and he had Tales from the Cryptmancer and Darkest Night on. Shout out to those guys for always offering up some interesting, stimulating conversation. And Tales put forth the idea that we've had a big week, big 10 days in Splinterlands. Obviously, lands finally came to fruition, and the community's kind of humming and buzzing about land and claiming and surveying and yada yada. And Tails put forth the idea that land was going to overtake guilds in terms of tightening the threads of community, in terms of working with your neighbors towards the common goal, and outreach to the greater tract and region, working towards that common goal. And there's stuff like Secret of Praetoria that's going to benefit significantly from the community working as a whole. There's stuff like SPS mining through building an arena on your tract, or I don't know what the specifics are on that just yet, but there's little bits and pieces that kind of led Tails to the conclusion that land is going to overtake guilds in terms of being the driving force for community, and planting yourself in a position, in a tract, in a region with similarly minded folks playing that long-term game. It just feels like we're and to back up and say that the community is not already tight is not what I'm saying. But to think that we're going to be further aligned and further drawn together through this communal goal of delivering the highest token output, or whatever that goal is for your immediate neighborhood. It's just interesting to think, like, where can we go from the advent of land, and what is that going to do for the community?
Well, guild and land sound like they go hand in hand, because there's so much you can do with community, so much you can do with guilds on land. Like they've already spoken about, like having land to host, I don't know, like to host things, like to verse people on, for guilds to, like, I guess, farm together and like share resources possibly. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but I can see how those two could work together, and how that could progress into something that we do not know about yet. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, like us on our like us on our own land, like here, let's say, we can like discuss with people, trade with people. There's friends that live 15 minutes away. I mean, you can really sort of think about it in a real sense as well, and how we how we interact, and what
Yeah, I
would be
wonder
the
as well if, like what you're saying there, Ben, if when land is up and running, and then you got like everyone has their own plots, but the common goal is to do as well as you possibly can. But yeah, I'm just wondering that like everyone has to be pulling together, right, for it to be as beneficial, which should be what you should be doing, right? But is it a case of, would people, I don't know, like how hard would that be to kind of manage that number of people? Because in the guild, it's not necessarily been the easiest, right, to
nah.
to get how many people, like 20 people to fully cooperate. So like how many people, like for example, in your region, how many people?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm with Gio. I think that there seems to be a very easy plug and play for the marriage of land and guilds to take place. Like an immediate example that comes to mind is the brawls, right? When your guild is assigned to the brawls, you're split 50-50 between my arena, my home arena, and the challenger, your opponent's arena. But it's just in an imaginary space. Well, what if your guild's able to dictate, if you've got a landholder who has taken the opportunity to build an arena and all of a sudden, like, you're able to put some like personalized skins or design your arena, and it very much feels like this is my home field, right? So little things like that, I think can start to tug those strings between land and guild, and further drive the community. And to the team's credit, we've seen it over the last couple of months. We've talked about it at length, where for a long time it felt like ranked was just kind of falling off in favor of things like brawls. And the team has really driven the desire for being part of a guild up, right? You get merits and chests, which you can't do anything with unless you're part of a guild. Of course, you got to be part of a guild to enter the guild store to purchase the gladiator card packs. And now there's rule sets in ranked that make gladiator cards available. So it's, there's a lot of cool different little components that the team has put into play that drive the desire for being part of a well-performing guild, right? And I think, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what does that marriage between land and guilds look like. And of course, we've heard Yaba talk a couple of times throughout the last couple of months that guilds alliances is something that is in the immediate future for us, and being Q2, I think we'll start to see, I think Cryptomancer is starting to dig his teeth into the development of some new guild stuff. And I don't think it's coincidental that that's lining up with Land 1.5. And yeah, these guys continue to kind of, push the envelope in terms of what's possible and what's available in the game. So I'm sure they've got some pretty cool tricks up their sleeves in terms of, what is that marriage going to look like if there is one at all. But yeah, I'm with you, Gio. I think it's a matter of when, not so much if.
Well said. Actually, I think I have an answer for Wascal about how you're saying it's hard enough trying to manage people in guilds. But at least the people who have lands, they have some stake in it. And you hope because they've bought land and are involved in land, they're more willing to spend and participate. You know what I mean? Like, there's a different layer there. There's less... I guess there's less incentive for someone who just wants to take a guild for a ride when they don't have any stake in it. It's just like add at your free will, contribute at your own will, sort of thing. As opposed to, I actually have land in a region and I've spent money on this already. And maybe that would be the tipping point into them wanting to upgrade and spend more. I guess maybe.
Well, then, I wonder in the future if you are not kind of contributing, are you going to be exempt from the rewards from that for your land? Because
that's a good question. Yeah. You know what?
Well,
I would hope so. Yeah, I actually would hope so. At some point, it's like a percentage thing. And like a degradation of rewards. If you're not contributing, and then let's say you're just like you're not up to par, or you just stop completely, that reward share that would probably go to you in some percentage form will drop. And if you're not active, it goes to 0, and it just gives whatever, let's say, I don't know, APR that you would be earning off to the others. They earn more.
Yeah.
So inactive lands at some time, at a certain point in time, don't earn anything. Cool.
Yeah, I think you also have to. I'm sure Ben. Like, isn't it right as well? You have to keep upgrading your building to make it viable as well, right? Is that one of the?
Yeah, there's going to be maintenance costs, right? Yeah, I think to both of your points. I was just looking in the background. So we're on the next fully available region is 124. And as we all know, there's 150 regions, 150,000 plots of land, and there's only 2,000 plots available on Peak Monsters. So in my mind, that tells me, that's a really small percentage, 1 point something percent of land is being made for sale and available once surveyed. So that tells me that there's a significant play towards the long term. I think folks are ready to, land sold 2 years ago, and people have been waiting, chomping at the bit for this to kind of come to fruition. So I don't think it's not surprising to me that folks are, holding on to the land and kind of waiting to see how things play out. But for those lands that are listed, it's a really small percentage of the total.
I really love the fact that now, from the prices I was paying when I first came in for land, that now it's come down to a obtainable amount. I think the last time I looked yesterday, it was like $62 for the cheapest plot. No building in the box, no totem, but I still think that's a great entry point. For someone who doesn't have the money, I think just get a bit of skin in the game, right? Because I think it's like Nate mentioned last week on the 2 weeks ago on the podcast, like it's just going to play such an important part in Splinterlands going forward. Even he said like rank play is just going to be just like secondary to what is planned for land. So I think it's really important, like if people can just get a little bit of skin in the game. And like we were talking before, like the value of plots, like for me, even like I can't afford legendaries, I can't afford the magicals, but
Yeah.
I can afford these natural plots, common plots, and me personally, I could buy some more because I just think it's just even if I start with the basic monsters just to get something on there, and then long term just build those monsters up. I think that's very obtainable.
Yeah, man. I think we and I misspoke. There's only 1,000 deeds available on peak monsters. So a fraction of a percent is what's actually available, which is crazy. Yeah. Right? 120 something thousand total plots, and 1,000, just over 1,000, 1,030 being available on third-party markets is that's a positive sign. I think there's a lot of belief in what land could be.
Yeah, I think, like as I mentioned before, I think every plot has its own value, and of course, you've got the rares and the epics. Occupied are obviously going to be very beneficial, but that's why I was just thinking off air, like what would give you the best value? Picking up a plot now for 60 and building up slowly, or forking out $600 on a occupied rare, for example.
Yeah, I mean, you could get, obviously there's other costs that are associated, right? Like monsters and staking monsters and that sort of stuff. But I have to think that long term, if your play is long term, you can buy one occupied rare lands for, like you say, almost $700 at the moment, or for that price, you can buy more than 10 common plots. If your plan is long term, the 10 common plots has to be very appealing, right?
Yeah,
That's the route I'm going now that I have post-piss clarity.
It's a beautiful thing, bro.
PP post piss.
Bro, yes. Yeah, you need
Nice.
that post-piss fucking land workers, huh? Yeah, that's the route I'm going, yeah. I got 2 plots on my own. One was gifted by Matt Clark. Thank you, love you. And yeah, the rest I will pick up on the Shimmering Coast in the region that I want to be in. I'm gonna just clump together or have plots, surveyed lands around there, and buy surveyed lands around there. I'm thinking 5 plots for me, because that's
Mm.
sort of all I could put towards and work. I'm not too fast about trying to squeeze everything out of it. I'm just buying. So obviously I got like the extra cards for my main plots that I want, like the ones. Hopefully it's a rare or something. I don't know. I'll put those on the best plots, and so the highest PP goes towards the best plots, and then I've got some common cards. Even if I can muster up 1,000 PP here, buy a $4 card. I don't care. I really
Mm.
don't. 5,000 PP for a common plot. Whatever. As you suggested, Wascal, over time, you build on, you build up, you know?
Yeah.
See it?
Well, I think that's what Matt said as well, right? Just treat it as a business. Like if you're going to start a business, you're not going to throw the kitchen sink, everything you've got, put everything at risk, just
Mm,
so that you can have, all the shiny toys. Like
that's
I
right.
think that's what people should be looking at, and you're doing it a very sensible way. Just whatever you can, just do, and not like overextend because. Oh man, the temptation and the FOMO, like me and Ben going back and forth with a few ideas, and the FOMO was kicking in, man. The FOMO was probably still kicking in, but the realization that just to hold back is the most sensible thing to do
It's a
is
long-term
is the
thing.
right thing to do.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
long play, you know?
and it's still 99% speculation. We don't know, right?
Yeah, it is. We
Yeah.
don't know shit.
Yeah,
So
so
who knows?
I've been giving some thought, and us talking about Tartaria kind of fueled the fire for the secret of Praetoria research. I wonder if there's
Oh,
any alternative history buffs on the Splinterlands team that have contributed to the secret of Praetoria, where we're going to be digging up like bits and pieces of the past to start to put together an alternative history. And yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how that pans out. Have you guys given any thought to what the secret of Praetoria could be?
well, personally, I love, I like lore and how there could be like a story related to our very own story, the story that we're given. Maybe they can go on board with the same sort of thing that we've experienced of being taught, and like make their own story about like, but that reflects the real story, you right, or the story that we've been told. So they could go, it's creative, yeah. They could go in any way and give credence to like the stories that we've been told, and change it in their way, like like maybe they could have been like an elite force, and then they played with like the simpletons and got them to become slaves, whatever, and then like a rain of hope came down, like some like figure or a Jesus figure who came down, who taught people, yeah, all this, another way to live, and then that became a rebellion and whatever, and then they found the ancient past and they were told this, and then they uncovered ancient technology, that that's how I would do it. I would definitely go by just the stories that we know, and the what ifs, like ancient Sumerian, like you name it, all sorts of civilizations have like similar flood stories. Like you can add that in, you can throw it in, and seriously, the best stories are what have of what you can already read in books, in text, in scriptures, in whatever. Awesome, awesome, and they almost like seem like they're make believe as well. Like you can look at it and be like, oh, that's not real, But who knows? Who really knows? Who knows?
How about you,
Maybe,
Ben? Have you given much thought to it?
yeah.
Uh,
Have you?
I mean, I think the same. I think I don't know, man. I think Matt and Nate, we're privileged to sit down with Nate a couple of weeks ago, and just getting a peek behind what gets this dude going in terms of his creative drive, his creative inspiration, I don't know what to expect. Like this, he's he was I think he mentioned a couple of times in the first half hour that we were chatting on the episode that he would just delve into these imaginary worlds of his through his books in car rides to school and going this way, this place and that place, and he'd have to be peeled away from the book. So I feel like his imagination and where this thing
could
go, the sky's the limit. I'm not going to venture to guess, but I hope that it's along the same lines of we start to put together pieces of the past and we uncover bits and pieces of lost technology and ancient civilizations and maybe a future card set is born out of stuff that we're uncovering, or I have to guess that items and spells are going to be tied from maybe the quote unquote mythical level items and spells are going to be recipes and like manufacturing instructions that we uncover through the Secret of Praetoria.
I wonder. For me, I just kind of think it's like what you're saying, Giotrix, or like something. It's definitely going to be lore connected. Okay, not definite, but that's what I'm thinking. Lore connected, and the Secret of Praetoria must, once you decrypt it, surely it's going to give you something that other players don't have, right? That's what, like, it's just gonna you're gonna have this the secret to conjure up some kind of spell, or maybe it could be like another energy source. Maybe it could be like maybe by the time we've kind of decrypted the SPS is kind of like all sold out, and then it's like another energy source like that we can start fighting over. I don't know, but I think the just it's going to unlock something. And another thing, what's going to be interesting, once you're kind of your team, like, is it going to be region? You're going to work as it in a region, or like
it's territorial?
Territorial. So, like, you mean like our 102, or
no,
you mean
so like bigger, like Wild Northeast? Yeah.
Oh wow. So once
Yeah.
that is like when we're kind of uncovering things, how are people going to be able to keep it a secret? How are people going to be able to keep the secret of Praetoria a secret?
I think it's. Oh, go ahead, Gio. Let's hear it.
I was going to say, just quick, unless all landholders just don't tell anyone who doesn't own land about it. Like, we all have our own secret chat. Like,
yeah.
Secret society.
It's got to be token gated, right? So as part of the Secret of Praetoria, if you're investing your land into uncovering these tokens, research tokens, whether I uncover the research token and tell you, Gio, or tell Matt Clark, who's in a very different territory from where we're at, you might know the secret, but you're not going to be able to do anything about it until your territory also achieves that, designated token level sort of thing is what I imagine. I don't think that Matt is trusting 150,000 people to keep their mouths shut about what the secret is. Not, you take a scroll through Mav chat and there's no secret.
I don't think there's no secret. Yeah. I think there's going to be exclusivity between regions and territories. Between territories. Like, let's say the secret is like spells and cards. Well, there's going to be certain spells and cards that you can only get in that territory, that are made there, that are created there. The same with death, same with fire, same with dragon. I think there's going to be, I think this game likes a bit of exclusivity. You know what I mean? Like, they like that. So I think they're going to go that route.
Well, like we were talking off air, the research tokens grant you, in all likelihood, will grant you an exclusive airdrop potentially. And yeah, to your point, maybe those airdrops are territory specific.
I reckon.
Yeah,
because that would promote trade. They want to make sure everyone with like a few plots can't get it all, can't have it all. So there's gonna have to be they really want a real life sort of economy going on, I think.
Mm,
I really think so. So if everyone can get it all, there's no point in trade.
yeah. How do you think they are gonna set the task? Is it gonna be similar to the one they had? What was that? They had another one a while back. What was that for?
Do you mean so there was like a Discord
Yeah,
escape room kind of thing?
yeah. Is it going to be like that?
I have no idea. I mean, when we had Cryptomancer on, we I think it was on the heels of Rooney being dropped, and if I remember correctly, the
Oh, that was
prize for
easy.
that Discord escape room. Shout out to Chatter. That was a lot of fun. But the prize for that was, I believe, whitelisted spots for Rooney. So you got your Rooney at half cost, and I think it was actually paid for. So you might have gotten a Rooney for free. But I think long term, what are the mini games that can be associated with land? I think it's really up to what is the edge of Nate's creativity? What is the edge of Matt's imagination? Right? Like you could do virtual escape rooms. You could do, boss fights. I think is definitely going to be something. Raiding parties. Who knows? Scavenger hunts.
Boss fights. Someone was talking about in Mav chat. They were chatting with a Cryptmancer, and he was saying that he'd just been speaking with Aggie, and they were discussing boss fights, and he said if only half of what we talked about gets done, it's just going to blow people away.
I
So
reckon they're in talks of things we do not know. And well, every time I've sort of have been surprised, right, by things coming out and land, and you think about, oh, I never thought about that. It's very interesting. Yeah, so I believe a lot of those same sort of that news breakouts, those feelings, those thoughts will come about in later iterations of
Yeah,
phase.
yeah. And I quickly want to. So you ask Waskel what is possible, and something that just sprang to my mind. And shout out to Matt Clark when we had him on. He pitched the idea of like a pub fight, a bar fight. So all of a sudden you get and I love this idea. It's so brilliant. And it
You
would
want
be
to get
such an
bottled?
yes, exactly.
I'll bottle you.
But the premise for his idea was essentially you get an in-game notification that there's a pub fight happening now. You've got 5 minutes to submit a team, sort of thing, and it's just like a tournament without being structured as a tournament, essentially. And I think Lands offers the perfect avenue for something like that to actually come into fruition, where maybe there's a cataclysmic event, and a monster rises from the volcano, or a monster comes out of the swamp, and everybody's got to submit a team to fend back this beast from the other side. Who knows?
That
But
makes sense. Like even like in territories, let's say, like, oh, a boss fight's popped up. Everyone, put your resources towards this, and it'd be like a drug war, mafia war sort of deal where you have like these items and workers, and the amount of PP, all that adds up to is how much power you're putting towards defeating this territorial boss monster or something.
yeah, and I think that's another great opportunity for folks, because the vision for the game is to grow way beyond the current player base, right? And when that day comes, there's going to be a lot of players who are left without land in their pocket. But I think something like this, a boss fight, gives that platform for folks who are not landholders to still partake in the games that are lands. And that's got to be a part of the vision. I would have to imagine is to get everybody some sort of vested interest in land, whether or not you're a
Directly or
landholder.
indirect.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now that you say that, I like that. Yeah, I think that would be, to give the ones who even don't have land some sort of new mechanic or mechanism to go about contributing to land indirectly.
It's also kind of kudos to the team as well. Like, how smooth has the dropping of land gone? I've not heard any complaints. And like you guys mentioned that on the podcast last week, like that's why Matt was like holding back um surveying, right? Because there could have been a chance for people to open up and it could have been a right royal mess, but it's just felt so smooth how it's just gone.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and apparently,
everybody's. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
no, 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 please, please, you go ahead this time.
I was just gonna say I think everybody shout out to the dev team. Everybody was fighting tooth and nail to get lands available in the game. And we waited for a really, really long time. I came in a lot later than what most folks did, and I waited for a really, really long time with up until a few days before survey, I was just holding on to one plot, and then I FOMOed in to a couple more plots at the last, at the 11th hour. But yeah, it went without a hitch, man. Shout out to the dev team for absolutely sticking that landing. Yeah, I can't imagine it going any smoother. I think everybody's been pleasantly surprised
Yeah,
with how lands was rolled out.
yeah, I reckon they pulled the resources together and really like, hey, we got to get this done now. Okay, like let's just focus on this. Let's push it out. Let's do it quickly, but as accurate as possible. And then we can take a little break for a bit. I think that's what they're doing. Like, just like
Mm.
they went hard on. That's why I haven't looked today, but for the last 3-4 days, there haven't been any like updates. Like announcements. Because it's like I think they really pushed to get that lands rolled out. You know, at least
We've
that
also
phase.
had, yeah, I mean, just looking back, so the layoffs took place in November, and if you look back at the last, that was four full months ago and a couple of weeks. The amount of stuff that we have gotten rolled out from the dev team without so much as a hiccup has been amazing. Like I feel like we've gotten more in the last 4 months than we did in the previous year, and that's not to say that 2022 wasn't huge in terms of in-game developments and updates to mechanics and tokenomics and you name it. But the last 4 months have been amazing. Yeah.
Those salt miners are unemployed at the moment. It's just I think that's what I was just thinking about land as well. Just the the place is like buzzing again, isn't it? The community's buzzing. Just everyone's just feels like they're I think more so with land because everyone just is thinking that the long term strategy, they just have a goal and they just like got that laser vision for land. So yeah, it's nice. So yeah, G, I was going to ask. So can you tell us again why? I know we talked about it off air, but I know you're waiting for the shimmering coast. Why are you waiting so patiently for that area?
Lost my opportunity in Central Fire. Uh,
Dude, honestly, man, so I think it was weeks and weeks that we were stuck in whatever that territory is prior to Lands of Prosperity, maybe um,
mm,
prior to Central Fire, and then
yes.
surveying went live. I guess midnight, 2 in the morning here in Taiwan, and then when I woke up the next day, we were already in the wild Northeast. So I missed. I slept through Central Fire. I'm assuming that happened to you too.
I actually woke up early enough to see it go out. I was like, oh, it's only here. I'll have enough time. But I just woken up. Like, I'm seriously still in dream time. And I was like, oh, no, I've got plenty of time. 30 minutes later, gone. So I probably could have claimed there and then, but nah, not in that. I didn't want to feel rushed. I don't like feeling rushed, and I feel like for someone who doesn't want to feel rushed, I think death is going to be just kind of more chiller than what it has been, right, in the previous territories. So yeah, that I think Shimmering Coast suits my personality a bit more. Yeah. So yeah, I'm waiting for a few regions to pop up. I have a few in mind. Yeah. So if let's see though. Yeah, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket because I failed like 2 3 times trying to get the regions with the coolest names that I thought were the coolest names that other people also thought were the coolest names and were like region claim worthy apparently. So yeah.
How about you, Ben? Are you done for the time being with your Mr. I'm only going to buy 3 plots, and now you're up to
I
5?
got 6. I got 6.
Oh, you got 6?
I got 6.
Oh yeah, me too.
Sick.
Yeah, I got really lucky, man. So Waskell and I and an old buddy, all claimed together, and I had I think 4 plots going into our kind of collective claim and survey, and I managed to get really lucky. I turned over 1 common and 3 rares, two rares are magical.
Brava.
Yeah, man, I hit pay dirt. I got really lucky nailing those.
Yeah.
And then I managed to find a couple of natural epics, just thinking that I would need grain to kind of self-sustain the other monsters. So I picked up a couple of epics for a reasonable price on the third-party non-card market, Peak Monsters. So I've got 6 plots. I think I'm just at this point gonna focus on getting my PP as big as I can. I'm
DC staking requirements eventually maybe put aside because we know where DCs are pretty much nearly at peg now. So
yeah, that's been something else that's kind of been silently. I think there's been a few people that have called it out, but for the most part, it's kind of taken a back seat to everything else that's been going on. But we've been trading above 90% to peg for a couple of weeks now.
yeah, and it makes me miss the old times. Now
The
that
old
like
times a month ago.
yeah, like the money that I'm putting into the DC I was spending willy-nilly is it's expensive to get now.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, why did I spend all that DC? I mean, I'll have enough for the lands that I want to get, which is 5 plots or whatever. But yeah, like, oh, I should have just held on to some more DC.
Yeah, I
Well,
think. Oh, go ahead, Wesco.
no, I heard on the Walking Keys gank stream, they said that only maxed monsters need 10,000
That's right.
DEC staked.
That's
So
correct.
if they're not maxed, you don't need the 10,000.
That's why you're trying to get the best PP to DEC stake ratio happening. That's why older generation cards, even at a lower level, produce more PP, which means if it is a lower level, you are paying less DEC stake. It's kind of cool. Kind of, yeah. You got to find that nice value spot.
Yeah, so let's kind of zoom the scope out a little bit and start thinking for what are your next moves. So shout out to, you just mentioned him, Wesco, Walking Keys. He was and before I share my thoughts, I just want to give credit to Walking Keys. I feel like he's been a couple of steps ahead around the last few big bends in the game. He had the foresight to stack Rooney. He had the foresight to stack totems. And he's seen those, we've all seen those assets just go through the roof. And he mentioned specifically that his plan for kind of post land, given what you just mentioned, Gio, that the older cards are for their dollars worth, they are the highest producers, the biggest PP in the game. So
Mm.
Walking Keys plan is, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if you've heard him kind of speak on this also, but the rental market for wild cards is essentially going to evaporate. I would have to guess, guys like Matt Clark with, a million flesh golems, that stuff's going to be all sent out to pasture, right? Um,
Yeah.
I know that when Matt Clark was on, he was specifically talking about his army of flesh golems being earmarked for land working. And given the white paper, it was a solid plan. But Walking Keys mentioned that he's kind of planning his next step is kind of building out an alternative deck purely for rental DEC. So I've kind of taken that the last week or so. I've bought a handful of Rift Watchers packs. They continue to rent at really nice prices, and yeah. So hopefully, I'll come monster staking being available. I will have accumulated a decent chunk of DEC through renting, and then hopefully those prices continue to climb as the rental market shrinks and shrinks, which I have to assume is going to happen. So what are y'all's plans on kind of what's next? What's your next move outside of land?
You first, Wascal.
Mine is, it's quite hard. If you haven't got the budget, it's quite hard. My current focus is just primarily land, but yeah, I'm definitely thinking about, because I personally rent quite a few stable Rift Watchers, so I've been foreseeing this for quite a while actually. When land does drop, will a lot of those cards, yeah, like you say, be put onto pasture? But like we were talking last night as well, Ben. Everyone's main focus now is on land, but I've just been keeping my eye on the node licenses. Like it's dropped below like $1,000, and I think what do we buy ours for? Was it 1,500?
Yep.
So yeah, it's just this game's crazy, man. Just when prices are going up on one thing, I'm not saying I haven't looked at the price of no licenses for a long time, but I just notice it when I was looking at Splinter Cards. Great website, by the way. And it's just like, whoa, that just like took me back. So yeah, if I had money, I'll be picking up a couple of license. Yeah, I think the question should be, if you had X amount of money, what would you be doing now? Yeah, I think I personally would be buying, yeah, a few of the other things. How about you, Giotrix?
I like what you just said there. I mean, it kind of goes with that philosophy when people look in here, you're
Mm,
looking elsewhere, right?
yeah.
And because the hype's not there, you're not paying exorbitant hype prices, FOMO prices. I think that's genius. Like, I really do. But what am I doing? Yeah, I'm sort of short-sighted at the moment. I'm just thinking about getting the land and Shimmering Coast opening up. That's where I'm at. And just buying some cards here and there. Again, not maximum PP ones, just whatever I can get. And I have to review when that time comes and the lands, because I still haven't gone through that yet. So I have to review at a later day. I'm just sort of hoping, I don't know, I don't think the hype's gonna die, but maybe it lessens a little bit. I don't know. So we'll see. Yeah, I just want to work on land at the moment. I just want to try put aside funds, which I mostly have. Some cards, whatever I can scramble up. I've taken away. I had 3 accounts, and one I've pretty much sold some cards that aren't useful to me to put towards other cards for land. I've stopped renting. Yeah, so I'm just consolidating at the moment, focusing on my main deck and just another playing deck that has the gold foils on it. And yeah, that's sort of my plan. I'm just waiting. I mean, I don't have excess cash, but
Mm.
I have enough just to get the lands part going. Yeah,
Isn't it great though how with this game you can not always find a way, but there are ways to kind of move your
true.
funds, sell this, sell that, or unstake this. It's just yeah, the beauty of this game. Or like you saying before, Ben, just rent out. So Ben, what were you saying before? You're just building up your rental account. Is that what you're
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. So I've been kind of keeping an eye on the non-card market Rift Watchers packs. They're still going for about 50, 60 cents, 40, 50 cents below what you can get them for on the Splinterlands shop. And so if I get the extra credits or extra DEC, I've just been buying a couple packs here and there, and I've managed to get a little bit lucky. I've pulled a handful of legendaries, and yeah, just starting to consolidate and max cards to the best of my ability, and keeping them on the rental market, and hopefully driving up my daily revenue on the Rift Watchers cards. I feel like, man, it's crazy how I think everybody expected Rift Watchers to go really quickly. I remember, 6, 7 months ago when Rift Watchers first came out, everybody was saying Rift Watchers was going to sell out, come and go before Chaos Legion ended.
Yeah.
But it's we've barely passed the 1/3 mark. We're still light years away from the next airdrop, and because of that, Rift Watchers cards have continued to either hold their price or increase in value. And I don't foresee that necessarily changing unless we get a massive, massive buy-in to Rift Watchers packs, or we change and allow for DEC. That might change the buying patterns that the community has towards Rift Watchers packs. But for now, I feel like Rift Watchers cards are, we've all played against them. We've all played with them, and they're game changers. There's a couple of very meta cards in the Rift Watchers packs, and yeah, I feel like that's right now the best bang for your buck in terms of rentals. They continue to rent at a pretty high clip, and yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
Funny you say Rift Watchers. I've been buying Rift Watchers, well, ever since it came out, slowly, for my playing deck, not for rentals, not for anything like that. But yeah, I picked up most of the cards that I thought would be good at their optimal levels. Since Rift Watchers, it seems like a lot of cards have good abilities early on. Like you don't have to get them like crazy leveled up just for them to be really good powerful cards. So yeah, I've got a lot of them, even at cheaper prices before all this and all that. Throughout the range, throughout the months, been picking up a few here and there. So yeah, really good choice of cards to get is Rift Watchers. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with my suit and with my amount of Rift Watchers I have. And I'll add to that as the supply broadens, and when SPS goes up and people buy packs and people trying to dump cards, and that's when I might you might see a little bit of a downtick on some prices. Obviously, there's some meta cards that will go up in value, but there's others that will drop. I think.
Mm. Yeah,
Depends though,
so
doesn't it? People would have to start buying the packs on Masse, right? To for the prices to drop, where people are going to start to like buy it in bulk. So I'm just wondering how that could happen, or is it just going to be a gradual thing? Like
I think
how?
that's a bull run thing. If we
Mm,
have one before the Rift Watcher sells out, if
yeah,
SPS goes
or
crazy.
to your point, if the flywheel kicks in and the SPS spikes to 10 cents, we might start see
mm.
unstaking of SPS and more folks buying packs off the shop. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
So that's why I've put a hold on my Rift Watchers buying, because I'm already happy with where most of them, not all of them, but where most of the cards are at. Like I got a level 3 Agor Longtail, a level 2 Coral Lurker. I pulled out a gold foil. My Rift Watchers pack openings have been far better than my Chaos Legion luck. Chaos Legion, shit as luck. And I've bought tens times more 50 times more the packs of Rift Watchers. Yeah. So I really do like Rift Watchers.
Yeah, man, I can feel. I opened. I was keeping 500 CL packs for a rainy day, and Ben
The
Ben
floodgates
persuaded me
opened.
to open them, which I am happy because it really leveled up my deck where I could challenge in diamond. But from 500 packs, I didn't pull a single gold foil legendary, which was.
I thought you did.
No.
I thought you got a gold foil fiend or something like that. No.
Oh yeah, but okay. No, a gold foil fiend. No, I don't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't get anything, man. I got lots of fiends, but I was just hoping for that big payday. But anyway, I definitely can feel what you're saying about. I've definitely got the luck, even though I pulled. This game is amazing, right? I can complain about that, but like you say, I pulled a pack in my daily, and I got a wraith. So
nice. Have you
I
guys
got a
seen?
Yasik,
Oh yeah,
like two days ago out for free pack, a Conqueror Jurassic.
nice.
oh yeah,
It's a good feeling.
I wonder if we're gonna see the opening mechanics change with Rebellion. So have you guys seen how they've structured the GLG pack opening? So what they did, and it's a brilliant move to get folks to A, buy packs, B, open those packs. In the first, I don't remember the time frame, but the idea is from when the packs became openable, which I think is already you can go to the market, buy a pack, open it. So for the first 2 weeks, the gold foil likelihood is a 15% chance.
Ooh.
And then after that, it drops down to 10% for a period of time. And then after that, it drops down to 5% for a period of time. So I wonder if, because there was big pushback around the proposal for Rift Watchers being available for DEC. Everybody was pissed because, why did I buy in if DEC was going to come in and lower the price of a Rift Watchers pack so significantly? There was no purpose in me being a part of the presale. Well, I think this mechanic changes the narrative entirely. Like if you could be a part of the presale for Rebellion and have a 15% guarantee of gold foil, all of a sudden, that's going to, Rebellion is just going to fly off the shelves. So yeah, I was just curious if you guys had seen that and what your thoughts were around that shifting percentage chance of gold foils being present in your packs.
That's cool.
To be a current state, it probably wouldn't change much because I probably won't have. I've kind of mentioned this before. I can't really see myself investing that heavily in Rebellion because just financially, it's just not that. Definitely not to the extent that I was doing or I did do with CL. But yeah, I think for me personally, I would just be waiting. At this, if they were dropping tomorrow, I would just be waiting to kind of see if I could get any bargains. But I don't know. If I had the funds, man, definitely. So like, with the GLX, is it there's only a certain number of packs available at 15%?
I think it's time based.
Wow.
So it's not volume, it's time. So for the first, X number of weeks, you have this percentage chance of flipping gold foil. But I think with Splinterlands, land has very clearly overnight changed the floor entirely for gold foils. A month ago you could hop in, I bought a gold foil Venator for $18-19.
Oh,
right before Yaba announced that the reward cards were going out of print, and overnight we watched that jump to $80. And it hasn't dipped much below that, and I don't see that ever changing, especially with the amount of, you get that massive PP bump with a gold foil legendary. So the bang for buck and the value that is now assigned to gold foil legendaries, the floor is going to be 60, 70, $80 moving forward. Whereas before, like I said, you could snap up gold foil legendaries for a very reasonable under $20.
well said. Well said. You're right. So much importance, much more importance have been placed on gold foils now because of the bonuses that they give on land. So you're right. But with the 15% uptick in sales within the first 2 weeks, more people are going to go for that, knowing that gold foil prices are there to stay, are there, are more inflated, right? So I think that's a genius incentive move. It really is. It really is. What was the question again? About
Like your thoughts on buying packs with that large, percentage.
because I can't buy many packs, I think my next move that I'm not gonna do with Rebellion that I did with CL was buy packs. No, I think I'm just gonna get individual cards that are gonna, I feel, upgrade my deck to battle.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested in. Key cards, key cards.
I tell you what is going to be really interesting, and you definitely notice it in Champion. And I'm really happy now. Like Ben, you kept pushing me to open up all those cards. That my deck is
Kept pushing you. Kept pushing you. Like you said, hey man, you should consider this.
Do it, you lose, eh? If you don't do it, you regret it. But yeah, I think the fact that now I can get to Champion. We just mentioned off air, right? I got 6 gold foil lob lowlands, man. I think those, how more important are they now? And I remember Darkest Night a few weeks ago was saying it probably just shows how much he's been playing and how many legendaries he's got. But he was kind of half complaining that he couldn't level up his commons because he was getting so many legendaries.
Yeah.
Oh, boo-hoo, Darkest Night. Boo-hoo, bro.
Yeah, no, right. I'll be interested to know if he has gone down, dropped down a few leagues to kind of bolster up his commons. But I definitely see the incentives of being in Champion. Yeah, I had 9 chests then. All of it was SPS and merits and the potion, but there was that one chest with 6 gold foil, I think, and it's definitely been the case since these new reward cards. So once they stop being soulbound, it's going to be really interesting to see the price of them when they enter the market.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm in Champion and have been for the last month. It's something that I could have done a lot sooner, but I didn't know that I could do it until someone who had a similar deck bring it to my attention.
Ah.
Yeah.
What were you like? Were you resisting? Did you just think it was going to be too difficult or something? Is that why?
Yeah. So I was sort of just in Diamond 1, but I was like, nah, if I get into Champ, I might not earn as many chests. But nah, I'm doing fine now. I've even upgraded many more cards ever since. I got most of Chaos Legion set, regular foil maxed out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
how
think,
about the new? Oh, go, Ben.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I've heard Bob kind of call you out a handful of times for your diligence in continuing to climb the ranks, and you've run laps around Bob, I think, to butcher his phraseology, but I think you guys started at similar levels, and Bob has just kind of been slowly building up, and you just shot to the moon.
Yeah, I just slingshotted. I was at gold for a while, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm playing at gold. This is fun because that's where my focus was. I was just upgrading cards to gold level, and then I don't know, man. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna keep buying and all that. Because what's most important for me about this game is just getting good cards and putting to have a good deck to play with. You know, that's all that really matters to me.
What was it that flipped the switch for you, Gio? That kind of made you realize, like, I want to go from gold to champ? Because there's a lot of folks who are very content with being leaderboard competitors for silver, for gold. But I'm like you. I wanted to play in the top leagues, but I'm curious, what was it that kind of flipped that switch in your mind?
I think it's reward percentages and what you can get. The opportunity or the chances are better for you just to get sick shit, which makes it more rewarding in a way. When you get that, it makes you want to stay there and keep going further. So rewards is a huge incentive, and I'm loving it. Like, it's great. Like, I like this league. It's like you can max out or close to max out, not even. Just get a Chaos Legion deck, and you can make it to champ. Like, that's it. And for so long was Chaos Legion, how cheap was it, man? And when everyone's like, oh, it's probably going to go down more. Nah, I'm buying 13. Like, Quicks was at like $13, $12. Bro.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Exactly. And I heard people, oh, don't put dry powder into it. Nah. Nope. I was putting as much dry powder as I could to get that up. But yeah, I'm happy now.
Did you make that decision before the Soulbound reward cards?
Oh, way before.
Oh.
Yeah. And I knew I just wanted, so I just slowly accumulated, put whatever funds I could squeeze out aside for that. Sort of like, yeah, I really accumulated, and my focus was there. My focus was like, okay, I want to get into Diamond. Then someone, like I said, Hacking Huck, a great friend of mine, really knowledgeable. I reckon he should get on this, to be honest, at one point. So you should, I'll link you guys up.
Okay.
Nice.
So such a good dude, such a dude. Yeah, he's like, hey, you can do it. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, okay. And then yeah, he's like, here you go. Like, this is what you do. I was like, sweet, I'm nearly there. It's like, yep. And yeah, so champ's been great, man. It's just, again, it's like, man, like, why would you want to not compete at champion? That's the question.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think
I'm right there with you, man.
No, I was going to say also another really big, apart from the Soulbound, the chance to kind of challenge against the big boys, but how I've really noticed my SPS just really climbing so much faster, which is kind of what the team wants as well, right? They want people to kind of obviously invest in the cards, but also to kind of want to play the game. And that's like a great reason to kind of, another great reason to play the game, like to see your SPS, your staked SPS rise. Yeah,
that's gonna be an imperative soon, right? Like, I don't think we've heard any numbers around, how much SPS do you need staked to pull 100% of your reward shares. But that's coming around the bend. So there's, I would imagine it's going to be a number that, so just, I think kind of sets the baseline. The cost of energy at champ is not cheap. The cost of energy at bronze is 1 DEC for 1 energy. So if you're looking at 500x for the required SPS stake, holy moly, That's going to be some significant buy pressure for a lot of folks. I'd be curious to see what is the average account have staked in terms of SPS, and how far off is that from the required minimum to pull 100% rewards.
That's why I've gambled in champ, knowing I probably won't have the amount of SPS needed. So I'm taking advantage while I can to try and get as much SPS as possible in champ. But the downside is I did sell some SPS for DEC to buy the cards to get into champ to get more SPS in hopes that I can do all this and still have enough for champ player staking by the time player staking rolls out. So it's a big gamble on my part. But yeah, I won't be mad if I can't make it to champ as that rolls out. I'm also almost expecting it, to be honest. So if maybe I will go back into gold or diamond depending on the amount of SPS required to play in those leagues.
What figure are you thinking?
I don't know.
Look in your crystal ball, bro. Tell us.
I think maybe 1,000 for bronze, 5,000 for silver, 10,000 for gold, 25,000 for diamond, and maybe 50,000 for champion. That's my ballpark right there.
Well,
yeah, I think that feels reasonable. But I think it's also important, we've heard with the SPS staking requirements conversation, we've also heard that rental, you can rent SPS, you can delegate SPS, and you can delegate SPS.
Papa Matt, please. No. Sponsor me, sponsor child.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll be curious to see, I know Matt loves the game, but given the volume of land that guy's got, like I really look forward to his kind of land streams and land management and playing the, he's got a brilliant mind for the economy and land, and he's obviously massively invested into that side of the game. So I'll be curious, does ranked very obviously take a significant backseat to that? Do most of his cards move over to, because he's been a wild man forever, right? Like he's got the alphas, he's got the betas, he's got the gold foils. So to that point, yeah, maybe Papa Matt can sponsor young little Poufet.
I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to spin it, but yeah, hopefully, maybe. But we'll see. We'll see. I first want to try and rely on myself and get as much SPS as I can first. And, maybe if I need a little tip on the edge, I might plead my case.
50,000 seems a bit high. I'm just thinking.
Probably is.
Maybe no, but no, like when you were working out the math, like I was working out in my head as well. And what you were saying for bronze, that's what I was saying for silver, for gold. And I think I didn't get up to champ. And it's like when you said 50,000, like crap, I'm below it.
I mean, think about even like tournaments and how much SPS you need to just to get involved, to participate in some of those. They're crazy. But I don't know if that's if the host of that tournament setting that. I don't know.
Well, if you look at that's actually a good, I think, watermark for exactly what you're talking about. So looking at like the League of Champions Splinterlands hosted tournament, the Wild League of Champions, the staking requirement is right about 50K.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, so I think you might be spot on with those guesses, but yeah,
we'll see.
Hey,
I
man,
hope I'm wrong.
Wow,
I want it to be the opposite.
TBD.
Yeah, exactly. I hope I'm wrong because I personally don't want it to be that high, but I understand if it was that high.
Well, I mean, I think I've heard Bulldog talk about it where he feels like Champ has become too easy to enter and compete.
Absolutely, that's why I'm there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that, and maybe the SPS staking requirements is the way to curb that community behavior. But yeah, can you tell us real quickly, bro? What is a Pousse, dude? What is this name?
Oh my God, I just needed to think of an account name and I was like, oh, what can I think about? And then it just came to mind, Pousse, which just simply means in English, puffy pussy.
No.
Yeah, I'm not
All
trying
right.
to, yeah, straight up.
Awesome.
But
Yeah,
but going back to what you said about being too easy to get into champion, I kind of I'll have to say I disagree because I think, and I know out of personally how much I've invested in the game. I think, and I'm sure you have as well, Giotrix. I think like you shouldn't be saying that's why I'm in it. I think we've invested
yeah,
a good chunk of our money. I think if you've invested, that's why kind of to get these rewards, it kind of feels it's kind of justified for me. Like I've invested this really good chunk, and I don't want to talk about. I'm not even talking about the chunk I invested before in the height of it. I'm just
yeah,
talking about in Champions League in the Chaos League.
absolutely.
Chaos Legion, but I don't know, man. I think like was Bulldog saying it in terms of the ease of getting in there.
I
Is that
think
what?
his point was he feels like there's too many players that have been able to rise to the top with, you know, I think there is some merit to what he's saying. You know, I own 99% plus of my collection is Chaos Legion and Rift Watchers. I've got a few key Untamed era cards, but it's the modern league, right? Like I feel like the merit to Bulldog's philosophy here is if you're competing in the modern champ league, you should be and should need key cards from the full modern league. And you get what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't be, you know, I feel like Untamed was in hindsight kind of unfairly awarded crazy abilities. Like, you know, you have Kitty and Yoden and Llama, and just
Absolutely.
those three summoners can get you to the you know, the tippy top of the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but once Untamed is gone, and you know, we've talked about this at length, Wasco, Chaos Legion and Rift Watchers have been so fairly balanced that you need cards for those niche situations. And I have to expect that Rebellion is going to be, and any subsequent set is going to be built with a similar kind of philosophy being employed in terms of, you know, these are the abilities, these are the summoners, these are the key rule sets that these cards are going to play best in. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see once Untamed shifts out. What does that environment look like? What does Champ look like?
My rating will go up and it'll be easier. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Wasco?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. You know, for me, I'm just thinking me personally. If I kind of hope that it's not necessary to be in modern. You know, I hope I can stay in modern just with a CL deck. I hope it's not necessary to buy, you know, all these new rebellion cards. I hope it kind of doesn't get to that point. I think if you have a deck, you shouldn't be kind of you know, restricted in that terms.
Well, I think a
Well, I
lot
think
comes down to your skill, right? And I think a lot comes down to, you know, like we were talking about earlier. You don't need a full max set of Rift Watchers, but having those key cards like a Lurker, like like a
Igor,
Rumancer Kai, like an Agor.
Corsair
That's
Bosan.
yeah. Corsair is a monster. Having those key cards, Queen of Crows is another one that's just legit.
Yeah.
Being able to like cherry pick your cards to supplement the core that you've already established with Chaos Legion, I think should be the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I actually did an experiment. Like I just thought because I've been spending about $30 each season on including brawls, like renting for brawls and renting, the Rift Watchers. And I thought, okay, this month I just want to not do that. Apart from brawls, I'll just rent my usual ones for wilds. But yeah, the first few days, man, it was just maybe it's just like because everyone's pushing and shoving, but just felt like I was just getting nowhere. And I think I even went down to I started in Champion 1 and
Wow.
I went down to Diamond 2 and it was getting close to Diamond 1. It was like, all right, enough of this experiment. Just pull out the big guns and then yeah, I just rented out the lurkers and the Igors and but yeah, it would be interesting. And this is to do with my patience. I just didn't have the patience to wait out a whole season because I just thought the rewards I just like, getting couple of chests each day compared to when I was getting like 9 chests. I just thought, just because that's what I saw renting as a way of anyway. Just I'm spending $30, but I'm kind of investing it because I'm getting these reward cards as a result of investing it and my brawls as well. Like I invested in the brawls to rent out and I'm getting merits. I'm definitely getting SPS as well. So I kind of was looking at it that way, but I thought if I didn't rent out $30 of my money, I could put it maybe into land or purchasing, like trying to buy these Rift Watcher cards that I don't have. But
That's my
yeah.
take. That is my take because now DEC, look, it's back to peg and renting is more expensive than it's ever been.
Mm.
It's just costing you heaps. And I guess I'm the sort like I just think about it, it's like, I don't want to rent. I don't want to rent. Fuck rent. Like, put that $30 towards like a card, to upgrading your deck that you don't have to rent. And that's
Yeah.
been my philosophy. I've only rented a few times. That's right. To test how I would make it into champ, I rented a Lux for like half a season.
Mm.
And that was expensive, man. It was like $1 a day. And even now it'd be more since the DC went upwards.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
then it's like $14. It just kind of compounds as well, right? But yeah,
it
like
does.
back
But
to what I
I
was saying.
just, yeah.
I feel that I just have to maybe rather than investing it in those cards, I'm getting really great soulbound cards instead. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe next season I could try it again, but it's just how long I can hold out for. So you personally, you don't rent any cards, Giotrix?
Nah, that was my goal is to own
Mm.
cards that can get me into champ instead of renting to champ. And I've
Yeah.
achieved that now. I'm nearly into Diamond 2, this far away. We got 2 days left. I'll make it there, but that's sort of my maximum is Diamond 2 at the moment. Nearly went to Diamond 1 last season, but my deck's it's just not there.
You mean
To
champion, right? Not
ah
diamond. Yeah,
champ.
champion. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I feel like your philosophy on that Wascal is going to start to pay off as those soulbounds get to champ level, right? Some of those cards, I
Yeah.
ran into surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, seeing some of the chests that have been and rewards that have been shared in our guild chat, but the legendaries seem to be the first ones there in terms of maxed BCX, and I run into a couple of times the Kulu Mastermind maxed. Oh, what a pain in the ass that guy is. But yeah, once those soulbound cards, especially the commons and rares, start to get maxed for diamond and champ, I think that's definitely going to put a damper on the need for
Renting.
Supplementing your deck with rentals.
Yeah. Hopefully.
True.
Oh man, that Kulu mastermind. I didn't even notice because I love my opportunity. I know he's got opportunity and he's got the weapons trainer, but he's also got what's it where you get hit
Shield.
by yeah. You mean if a melee or a ranged hit you, it doesn't cause as much damage?
Yeah,
Yeah, shield.
it cuts it in half. Yeah.
So even when that bad boy gets to the front, you can't kind of get to him. Wow.
Yeah, that was the first goal for a legendary I got to level 3.
To level
Yeah.
three. To level three, you said?
Yeah, he was the first goal for a legendary that I got, and now he's
Um,
at level 3. But it would be nice to get enraged on him at level 4. How much more insane can you get?
is that what he gets at level four? Oh.
Yeah,
Twice the damage. That's how much more insane.
that is it's yeah.
And twice the speed.
and put him next to a martyr as well to really put the cherry on the cake.
Oh
Yeah, man.
man, these cards, these soulbounds, yeah, I think they will be self-sufficient eventually.
I think
They
so.
will be able to play themselves. So I guess maybe I know my philosophy was like don't rent, but now thinking about it, I know someone Hacking Huck. He's literally renting and trying to get enough soul bounds to sustain those alt accounts.
Mm.
Oh,
So he's renting in the short term, like you are,
yeah.
to later sustain those to become self-sufficient.
Yeah,
Mm.
I have to think that the juice is worth the squeeze on the rentals for the soul bounds.
The
Very
juice
possible.
worth the squeeze.
The
Yeah,
juice
man.
worth the squeeze. Yeah,
Have you
that's
guys
a
been
good flavor.
experimenting with playing in wild at all? The last like 6 weeks, I've really kind of partitioned my time between modern and wild, and I'm curious if other folks are taking that same approach.
I have, but I only did it for like a day or two. I think, I think I just saw that my EOS chests were just not right because I was all the way down in bronze, right? So I don't know. Maybe it's just greed, man. Maybe it's just greed. I was just like, I'm just like not getting as much. I just because I think like to get 70 end of season chests in champion, it's just like to reduce that even by 10. Yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't enough to pull me kind of to keep me kind of pushing through. But so how have you found it? Do you find it worthwhile? Is it in terms of SPS pulls that you keep doing that?
'Cause I
100%.
want to know.
Yeah. So here, let me pull up the old screen here. So my main goal every season is to try and finish champ one in modern. So
Nice.
that kind of sets the pace for the following season. And then as soon as that is achieved, I hop into wild, and you guys can see I'm in the bottom of the barrel of champ two, and each win is 6.5 SPS, six and a
Whoa.
half SPS. So it's two,
97.
yeah, two, three times what I was getting in modern. So
Wow.
I think long term, yeah, the short term pain sucks, right? Like you're battling through bronze, silver, gold for fractions of an SPS, but as long as that pool at diamond and champ remains, I was earning more in while I was climbing to champ in wild. The diamond SPS is still exceeding what you get in champ modern. So
Mm.
it's yeah, I feel like it's 100% worth it. I did rent. I've never rented it before, but I did it yesterday because I was struggling to hit champ one in modern. I finally bit the bullet and rented a kitty. And yeah, that little baby, she's a game changer, man. That stupid cat is just silly on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely suggest taking a second look at competing in wild, even if you've got to, bear like a week or two of climbing through the mud to get to the top.
What I
So,
found,
oh, go. Sorry, man.
I just want to say what I found impressive is how you got 97 EOS chess.
Oh,
Like that is
yeah, that's not without dipping into my DEC batteries for
okay.
energy.
That's all I wanted
Yeah.
to know. Wasco?
No, yeah, no, I didn't notice that. 97. Wow. Is that
Yeah.
your highest pull so far?
by by a long shot. I think last season I set the watermark for to date end of season chess, and I think I had just cracked 80. Um, so I think this season, if I can hit 100, I'll be Bob's your uncle, bro.
Bob's your uncle's fan's rent. What? So you've been spending a lot of. So it's 500 DEC per energy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What
I
does
just
that?
so same approach that you've got to renting, right? Like I just feel like one extra chest is one extra chance for flipping over that 2-3 gold foil legendary and looking at what that can do for lands. At this point, I'm thinking any gold foils that I get in Soulbound, I'm gonna have to unlock and put on lands.
Yeah.
So if I can up my chances even by a little bit to get one additional BCX of a gold foil legendary in hopes of boosting the production points on land, I feel like it's worth it. And I overshot my expectation for what I thought the starter packages were going to cost for land. So I've got a little bit extra, and I feel like the immediate best use case is just tossing it towards energy.
Wonderful. A genius. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man. I think definitely, yeah, since you kind of come in Splinterlands, not only kind of sharing the journey with you, but definitely you you definitely pushed me to get higher than I probably would have been. To be honest, I was just like quite happy plodding along in gold and just kind of getting what I could. But yeah, definitely like to see you got 97 there. That's kind of it's kind of like that Roger Bannister, the 3 minute mile, and until you see it done, you never think it's possible. Hey, I saw someone yesterday with 150 champ chests. So he has been
That's
grinding. But
busy,
yeah,
bro.
but that's great, isn't it? Like so it's like nearly 50 cents per energy, right?
Yeah.
But like you say, man, if you can pull some nice gold foil, it's just investing, isn't it? But okay, no one knows for sure what's going to happen, but if things keep going the way they're doing, gold foils are going to be hitting the shelves at a nice
Yeah.
penny, right? So that
Well,
and then you
like we were talking about, man. So you're absolutely right. 50 cents per energy, but what we were talking about, gold foil legendary, the floor on peak monsters is now $70. So if I manage to max out one of those, that's the better part of a $300 value that I've earned through 50-cent energy, and that trade off I think is, I'll take that every time.
That's a really good point. Uh, yeah, the value, future value of these cards
Mm.
may just be worth putting the money in now for 50 cent, you know?
yeah. Well, I think
See what
also
I
what
mean?
what the probability of not only you maxing a gold legendary card out are pretty high. Like you only need four, right? The chances of you getting even more of that card, so you can drop that max gold foil legendary on your land, plus you're gonna have extra to drop on the actual market, right? And invest that money again. Yeah,
Yep.
that's why I was saying before to get into champion is and to kind of work towards those chests. But yeah, it's going to be so worth it long term. And now seeing what you've kind of with 97 chests.
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not all for naught, bro. We've definitely compared notes on end of season and pulled some stinkers, but yeah, I like the odds being in my favor with the better part of 100 chests.
And the good part is, if you get a regular foil, which is most likely gonna happen, of that same card you got in gold foil, hey, just release the gold foil, put it on land as you suggested, and you still got a max level playing card. There you go. How
Yeah.
about that?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're all fans of the Soulbound. I think initially there was some kind of pushback around Soulbound being, you can't immediately toss these cards on the market. There's no immediate real value. The argument goes on, but as time has gone on, I feel like the entire community has gotten behind the Soulbound approach. Gio, do you have a couple of favorites that you've already been playing in Champ? Is there some that have eluded you that you got your eye on and crossing your fingers with every chest you're opening?
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of challenge battles outside of rank, and I think that's the best place to experiment and test out these new soulbounds without any consequences. So, yeah, I really love Martyr. I like weapons training. So those Kulus, those muskrats, those fungus flingers, man, have they been game changers for me personally to use? Yeah. So that's what I like. And I want to get like Kra Ox, that little one mana dude. I want to get him up. Oh, there's so many I just want to get up. But yeah, so for me it's a summoners and those few key cards that I believe that I'm really wanting to get out of the chest. I don't know their names at the moment, but yeah, I think you get my gist.
Mm.
How about you?
Yeah, I think I think also the great thing about these cards is that we haven't even seen their full potential, right? Yeah, okay, maybe with someone like Kulu Mastermind, he just like comes off the block straight away, but there's some other really fantastic cards. But yeah, I think one of my favorites is Noah the Just. I just love that his speed, his dodge, and the fact that he's got the is it Rust.
Yeah.
So him with Kulu Mastermind is really, really good because you can put weapons training on him, but also he just gets rid of that armor from the off, and then Kulu's just banging them, knocking them out straight away. That's one of my favorites.
That's a good point. And he also gets Martyr at level 6 maxed out.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
And
a
he gets
beast.
backfire and dodge. So if you just add a Svispa with him, which has phase, he's the jack of all
Untouchable.
trades. He's a jack of all
Untouchable.
trades. Yeah.
Mm.
If you add what with him, did you say?
What did I
The
just say?
dragon phase summoner.
The Dragon Rift Watchers Summoner Svispa, which I have maxed out ages ago. Good. That's deadly.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the. I keep waiting for and I think you guys have hit the nail on the head with these soulbound cards. Once they reach that full potential, I think we're going to start to see a little bit of a shift in the market for the Rift Watchers summoners like Dispa, because she gets her Dallin. What's the water one? Aquatis.
Yeah.
They all get kind of poo-pooed on as being unnecessary, but I think with the soulbound cards, we're going to start to see that shift a little bit, and especially that's a great call that I hadn't considered Thispo with Noah the Just. What a monster.
Yeah, imagine speed behind it with like a supply runner and all these other little buffs that you can give them.
Yeah,
Man.
man.
So good.
Who's
Yeah,
Thesper?
the Rift Watchers Dragon Phase
Oh,
summoner.
Yeah, it looks cool too. It was the first one that I got maxed out because I was like, you know what? I can see this card just being good in the future because phase is just really awesome. It's amazing. So yeah.
This one, Wesco.
Mm.
This book.
Yeah, sorry, I
Yeah.
thought I was got confused then when you said behind Noah. But now I get what you're saying. How
Ah,
about you,
yeah, yeah.
Ben? What have you got any nice ones now that you must be leveling them up at quite a good rate?
Yes and no. I one that I really want to like that I haven't been able to really see success with is Soriel, the fire legendary double strike
Mm.
magic dude. Um, he's got
Quite
blind,
high
he's got
mana, right?
rust. Yeah, nine mana, but four magic damage plus the other abilities. He feels like a great fit for somebody like a Yasik because you
Ooh,
got the
look at
speed
that.
and then the blinds. But I just haven't been able to find the right fit. So that's one that I really like, kind of longer term to figure out how to play with that guy. But yeah, the martyr made such an immediate impact on the game, right? Like martyr is so much fun to tinker around with, and um,
Like Quora.
what a pain in the ass, man. Cora, Llama, and a couple of martyrs in there is just game over. Lights
Yeah,
out.
GG.
Yeah, GG's, dude. But one that I do like and that I've seen a lot of success with at lower levels, I've got the Izr, the life legendary taunt magic
Ah,
dude.
yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah,
just in magic only rule sets, what a monster! That guy is so tough. So you toss that guy at the back of the line with the Jin
triage.
Renova,
Triage.
yeah,
Yeah,
and get some triage in there,
And
and
it gets smarter. Damn.
yeah, he's
frustratingly good
yeah.
if you're
So
playing against.
the martyr and the legendaries, I'm right with you. Weapons training is one that I haven't experimented too much with, but I have gotten my ass absolutely housed by the weapons training from uh masterminds with Bakjira and Pasibilis.
Oh.
Ugh,
Oh.
yeah, throw in a trample on
Uh,
Bakjira in the second spot is just nasty. It's so silly.
oh man.
Another one I like is the Phyrexian hero, the fire weapons trainer.
Like
Him
that
with
card.
him with um what's my boy called? Um uh Crash Wonderfoot.
Oh right.
Crash. Him and Crash together. Wow. And Crash, because Crash
Oh,
got me my first Bloodlust yesterday in that bronze tourney because he's
With
got the
thorns.
with thorns as well, yeah, and he's hitting for two as well.
that's a fast
That's
card.
speed. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, great
that's
combo.
a Yasic meta play right there.
Mm.
That's what I played him with. Yeah, beautiful one, beautiful one.
Mm.
And Coastal
Um,
Sentry. Oof.
Yeah, I heard Matt's brilliant pitch on Coastal Century with Pasibilis, and he got called out by one of his buddies for pretty much stealing their line of thinking without ever having read the article or something like that. Funny, but yeah,
But it
man,
just makes
it's
sense.
yeah. The piercing is the game changer. But I feel like, and I'm curious what you guys think. So the legendary summoners from Chaos Legion, I feel like the water team was already bloody dynamite, right? Like the Kelia squad just owned business for a really long time until the legendary summoners all got rolled out. But I feel like Pasibilis was the biggest winner in terms of kind of support and abilities from the soulbound cards. Is there one that you guys feel like maybe a bigger home run than Pasibilis?
I like Immortalis.
And Metalis is nasty, man. Yeah.
What a card paired with Cora as well.
yeah,
Oh man. Just deadly. It's just a bloodlust card. Like Shatter, -1 health just makes it easier for just that ever so easier for Bloodlust to get off the chances of it, and Void, you know?
Yeah, people always talk about Void with Immortalis, but definitely you notice it when you're playing against him. They just cut through all your shields, just one hit. It's such a an undervalued like ability. I really like that. Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I think just Jasic with the speed, I think with that Phyrexian hero is really good.
100%.
That's
can
one
imagine.
I still haven't gotten that guy. He's
All right.
I think there's 2 or 3 legendaries that I have not pulled, and he's one of them. Well, Gio, it's been an absolute pleasure talking shop with you, man. And you're welcome back at any point. We're always rooting for the Splinterlands 101 crew, and like we were talking about yesterday, I hope that Splinterlands 101 continues well after old Bob moves across the pond to sunny Mexico. But yeah, man, appreciate you taking the time to hop on. Appreciate your insights. Thank you for sharing your story and just generally good people, bro. Continue the trend of finding solid community members, and yeah, appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for creating such a nice vibe for me to get in and just talk about this game, about me, about what my thoughts are. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you again, guys. Wascal, Bojangles, B-Jangles. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been great meeting you. I know we've kind of chatted a little bit in Discord. We just missed you on we were on the Splinterlands 101 and we just wasn't able to hook up that time. But yeah, it's been great kind of meeting you, hearing your thoughts on land and fellow champion. It's just, I don't know, for me it's just great to kind of like hear other people's insights, and it's been really valuable today. So all right, I want to thank you all for tuning in. You have been listening to
People's Guild.